What's going on YouTube? Scrammy here, coming at you with another extreme test for the Sonim XP8. And I just want to say, for me and all my American friends, happy 4th of July. And now the testing continues. Now, we've put the Sonim in a lot of stuff. And the last test that we submerged the Sonim in was the lighter fluid. And I honestly thought for sure that the Sonim was not going to survive or come back from that test. But boy was I wrong. The Sonim appears to be working just fine, as if nothing ever happened to it. At first I really thought it was going to go down for the count, but it also gave me an idea, because during that test we talked about how the flap of the phone was open. Well, the flap was open, but the phone was still on, and it basically made it seem to me as though the flap isn't really necessary. You see, it does have a waterproof ring in there to keep water and crud out of there, but I'm kind of thinking more along the lines of the phone without the flap is still water resistant, but the flap is just more for debris and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is turn this into a double test. The first thing we're going to do with this Sonim is we're going to put it in some Glamorous White bleaching mouthwash here. Now, we did hydrogen peroxide before, and this has peroxide and all that goodness in here, citric acid and everything. So we're going to see if maybe we can turn the Sonim from black to white, or maybe even gray. I don't know, but we're going to find out. And as the special guest, you all know I also have this other Sonim here, and it just kind of gets stuck in a boot loop, so it's not really usable very much. So I'm going to set up another test where I'm going to just turn it on and let it run. Even if it starts cycling or boot looping, it doesn't matter. But what I'm going to do is unhook the flap here. I'm going to unscrew it, and we're just going to leave it under the water completely. And we're going to leave it unprotected. And I'm going to also leave this underwater for up to an hour, just like I do my other rugged tests. And that'll be definitive whether the flap's really necessary for water ingress, or if it's just simply for dirt, debris, and stuff like that. So I'm really interested to see if either Sonim survives. But without further ado, we're going to get this set up, and we're going to turn a Sonim into bright white. Okay guys, here we go. The Sonim is 100% ready to go. Nothing wrong with it. Again, flap port closed, battery sealed up nice and tight, nowhere for any water ingress to get into. So in the sacrificial Tupperware it goes. And now it's time for some Glamorous White. Now normally you swish this around your mouth, so I'm just going to give it a nice little shake up, and then we're going to dump it out and fill this puppy up. I can't wait to get a nice clean, squeaky clean Sonim. Maybe it won't smell like lighter fluid anymore. Maybe now it'll just smell like, well, I really like to clean my teeth. So here we go in 3, 2, 1. Alright, and here we are. The phone is now fully submerged in the Crest Glamorous White mouthwash. And we can see here, let's turn it on real quick. It is 11:39, and we're going to start this hour off. So far, no issues. Now this is also really going to test, because if that lighter fluid did do any damage to any of these seals and ports of this phone, well, we're for sure going to find out. I'm hoping it survives, but this is only part one of the testing today. So I'm going to get my other Sonim here ready to go. And we're also going to put that underwater, but I'm going to unscrew the flap, just like I said. And hell, we're just going to see what happens. Hopefully, no whammies. Alright guys, so the other Sonim we got here is all sealed up, as you can see. Nice and tight there. I'm going to boot it up. Now during this test, I sort of have a feeling that this phone is going to boot loop, but that's okay. I don't really care about that. I care about the fact that will it survive with there being no flap to protect from water on the bottom of this phone. I really don't know if it will, but seeing as my lighter fluid test, the phone survived when the flap opened, I think we're going to be okay, but I can't say for sure. So we're going to bring over another sacrificial Tupperware, but this is very non-violent. This one is just water, because I just want to test to see, can we actually have it survive with just no flap on the bottom? Alright guys, time for the first check. As per usual, I am a little late on the draw here, but I wanted to keep both phones at the same time. So it is now 12 o'clock. We're going to call that our 15-minute check for both phones. So Sonim number 1 in the mouthwash. It is still working. Sonim number 2 in regular water, but no flap protection. And look at that. They are both still functioning, both still on. So 15 minutes in, neither phone appears to have any issues. Alright guys, here we are coming in for our half-hour check. Going into the first Sonim with the mouthwash, teeth whitening. And look at that. Still good to go. Half hour in, no issues. Now, the Sonim in just regular water, but no protection on the flap. Again, no protection on the flap at all. And look at that. Again, working just fine. It doesn't even seem to be affecting it, whether that flap is open or closed. So that's interesting so far, but we have another half hour to go. If you look real close on the Sonim that's in the mouthwash, it almost looks like the whatever's in the actual teeth whitening mouthwash is actually pulling off maybe dirt and grime, or maybe it's actually starting to bleach the phone. I can't quite tell, but it's turning kind of grayish all the way around the outside. So maybe it actually is causing a difference, but I really don't know. We won't know until we are done, and we'll go over both phones, make sure the functionality of them both are good, and then we can definitively say whether either one or both of them or none of them pass this test. Alright, here we are, 45 minutes into the test. Sonim number 1 in the mouthwash. No whammies. Wow, it feels really weird. That's a strange feeling. The mouthwash is doing something to that phone, but we won't know until the test is over. I gotta go another 15 minutes yet. Now, let's try the plain water Sonim with no flap protection. And as you can see, it is also running just fine. So both phones, after a little over 45 minutes, are still good. We got 15 more minutes to go. Alright, this is it. We are now a little over an hour. Both phones have been submerged in liquid. The Crest Glamorous White in the Sonim on the left, and the plain water with no flap on the right. So, without further ado, phone number 1. Look at that, it appears to be working just fine. Sonim number 2 with no protection. And look at that, they both seem to be working just fine. So I'm going to clean these off real quick and we're going to give a closer look and definitively say if the Sonims are good to go. Alright guys, here we go. The test has completed. I cleaned off both phones. Here we go with the first Sonim. This is the one that was in the mouthwash. As you can see, it looks just fine. No issues. The flap stayed closed. It now smells much better than lighter fluid. It smells like clean teeth, which is awesome. It feels a little weird, and I think it's just because it pulled all the oil and any grime and crap that was on the phone. It sort of lifted it off. So real quick, let's go to YouTube. I got to bring up YouTube. We got to play a video to make sure the sound works. I'm assuming it will. It's just going to be muffled, but we have to test it. And let's see. Do we have sound? Maybe.
What is up, YouTube?
And yes, we do.
Coming at you with another.
Sound is working. Okay, perfect. So let's close that. And now we're going to bring up the camera real quick. Make sure. And that it is. Take a picture. Okay. And now video. Video around. Yep, a video appears to be working. Alright, Sonim number 2. Now this Sonim was in the water for the same amount of time, except this Sonim wasn't covered. The flap was completely taken off, not just a jar, completely off. So you can see it's all wet, but let's see if we can bring it up. And let me just log it in real quick. And here we go. It appears to be on. Again, no damage from the outside. I mean, it was just water. But here we go. Same thing. YouTube. Got to bring it up. Got to test to make sure the speakers work. Even though they'll probably do the same, be muffled. But we got to test it. And yep, I can hear sound. Definitely muffled, but it's there. That's all that counts. Okay, let's close that. And last but not least, camera. Camera up. Boom. Take a picture. Okay, apparently I set a countdown timer, so I guess we'll wait a few seconds here because we got to prove that it will take the picture. And boom. Okay, it took a picture. Now let's record. And yep, it appears to be recording just fine. Boom. So there you have it. You don't need the charge flap to be closed to have your phone be waterproof. It works just fine without it. So this is more of a keep debris and dirt out of the phone, but without the flap, it still will remain fully waterproof. So that's interesting. I didn't know that, but now I do. And you want to leave it in mouthwash? Some teeth whitening mouthwash? Yep, that works too. Unfortunately, it doesn't turn the phone white, but it does make it smell good. So, on to the next test.